Hi there. I'm going to talk a little bit about relative versus absolute paths. So I've opened my terminal and we can use the command to look into the personal working directory. So that's pwd. And what we can see now is that I'm in the absolute path. As we can see, there's a slash in the first place. So I'm in the absolute path, home, info, dbwebb cursor, Unix. But let's take a look in the about these absolute and relative paths. So when I write ls, we know that's the command for showing the files, listing files and folders in this folder. So when I do ls-l, we see that I'm in the dbwebb cursor Unix folder. So I get the example, me, and tutorial folders, and then I get 6 files. Those are the white ones. But if I do ls-l and then do the slash, I get the absolute root. So when I do that, instead of showing the personal working directory where I am, I get the absolute root. So this is the root folder of our operating system. So what we can see here is that we have several different folders, bin, boot, dev, etc. Where we have been working with the Apache for those completing assignment 1. And then we have home. So let's that we know that we were in. So let's, if we want to go to an absolute path, for instance, home, we can use the slash in front of home. So let's take a look at where we're at. So now we have, we're in home. We can do pivot as well. We see we're in home. And then we find the IFO catalog. So if I want to go to the IFO catalog, I can either go cd IFO, then I will go to the IFO catalog, or I can go via the absolute path. So cd home IFO. So we can always go to a catalog by the absolute path, but we can only go to a catalog via the relative path if we enter the correct path name. So if I'd want to go to the dbwebb cursor and I want to go back, we can use ... we go back, take one step, and then we can what's called double tapping. We show the files that are in, so we use the tab twice, and then we can see all the folders and files that are in my home catalog or the home folder. Because if I step back, I'll be back in home IFO. So these are the files that are in my home folder. So if I want to go to the screenshots folder, I can do it by the relative path, or I could use the absolute path, home IFO screenshots. It's the same folder that I'm going to enter, but I can get there by means of 2 ways. We can go by the absolute path and we can go by the relative path. And it's very important that we use the slash in front if we want to go to the absolute path, because we can see here that if I go there, there is no such file or directory, because it would then look in the dbwebb cursor and look for a folder called home. There's no home, but because the home is in the root catalog, and that's why we would like to use the slash in front, which shows us that we are in the root. So that's how we do it. So there was a little short video about absolute and relative path, which you're going to use in, for instance, Bash 1 Lab, where we work with the Apache 2 catalog that's situated next to the answer.bash file. So we can take a look at that. So if we go to the dbwebb cursor, go to Unix, and then I'm going to create the lab, bash 1. Okay, it was already created, so let's take a look at it. Go to bash 1, and as we can see here, the answer.bash file, where we write our answers, is situated next to the Apache 2 file. So when we want to go to the Apache 2 file from the answer.bash file, we do not write Apache 2 because it's not there. I'm tapping now so we can see that it's not there. It's not in the absolute path, but it's in the relative path. So in the, if we open up the file, and we can see here in the answer.bash, the first one is that we are going to list the Apache 2 files, so ls Apache 2. We do not have a slash in front because then it cannot find it. So let's see what happens if we run it with the dash in front or the slash in front. We get that we don't get anything back because it's not there. We cannot access the Apache 2 file, but we can access it through the relative path, or we could have actually done, but as we can use the relative path, it's not very useful to do it by the absolute path. So we'll use the relative path here, and it will be a long path if we had used the absolute path. So short video about relative and absolute paths. Hopefully it will help you in completing the labs and using the Linux operating system. Good luck!